Simmons. I'm the gallery director for the Alexander Gallery, and thank you very much for coming today to Rob McCurdy's Artist Talk on Kinematics. Before I introduce Rob, I would like to let you know that he is an artist and educator working in Spokane, Washington, teaching at Spokane Falls Community College. He received his BFA from Portland State University and Master's of Fine Art from Rhode Island School of Design. His work has been collected by the University of North Dakota and the city of Lewiston in Lewiston, Idaho, as well as Roger Williams Zoo in Providence, Rhode Island. His work has also been supported by the Artists Trust of Washington. So we are really excited and for the opportunity to welcome you today, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming to the Artist Talk. I really appreciate it. It's a really great opportunity to come here because I've shown in this gallery before. It's been 14 years ago. I showed a single piece. After I graduated from Portland State, I got to show in this gallery. And to my recollection, this was a lot bigger of a gallery back then. Just felt big. So coming back to it and having my own show in here, I found it to be not as big as it was, which was a relief. So that being said, I was honored to get a call from have a show in the gallery, and I had just come off of having two shows, one at Central Washington University in Ellensburg, and one at a local gallery in Spokane called Entropy Gallery. And this show is actually a combination of both of those shows kind of put together because I didn't have time to create a full body of work. It provided me an opportunity to connect my work together. So I had two sort of bodies of work that were running in parallel to each other. So one that was primarily kinetic work, things that moved, things that were interactive in that respect, and then more assemblage work where things were more constructed and static. So how I was to connect those two things together, it took some thought on my part to kind of come up with those connections, and I'd just like to share some of the stuff that I've kind of been thinking about since installing the show. So this is the first time I've seen it since it's been installed, so it's kind of to come back to it, you get a fresh perspective. So some thoughts about it. So kinematics, the title of the show, is the study of how objects move without considering the forces that cause the motion. So in some ways, some of the work, we know how the motion is activated. It's activated by the viewer, which is a really important aspect to that work. And I'll talk about the bodies of work separately in a minute. So the mechanical gestures is all of the work that is the kinetic pieces. Mechanical gestures, which is a reference to Gaston Bolchiard's writing, talking about how small gestures can change objects and change perspectives. So with the help of the viewer, small gestures done consciously, such as he referenced dusting furniture as a part of, once you dust a piece of furniture, it becomes a different object. So these machines in this room do subtle gestures to change objects, either physically by changing the surface of an object, by drawing on it, drawing on the wall, drawing on the floor, or creating a sense of rhythm or time. So some of them move so slow you don't perceive that they're moving, and you have to take a minute and be present with it. So it sort of denotes time, the rhythm of the piece. And as you go around the space, you have these different interactions, these different rhythms that you're interacting with as you go through the space. So that's from the Poetics of Space. I'm also inspired by the Swiss kinetic artist Jean Tinguely, if you're familiar. And I have a connection, a Swiss connection. I'm actually, my grandmother is Swiss, so I kind of have a connection with him. He was out there sort of questioning the precision of the machines that we interact with. The Swiss are very known for their precision, and he was there challenging them at every step. And in some ways, I'm kind of following in his footsteps, but also challenging sort of technology on the same note. So talking about technology and how we get involved and we get wrapped up in our devices and we get wrapped up in technology. These are sincere gestures that happen in real time, and you have to be present with them in order to experience them. And so that's sort of the force that's behind those works. And so some of them, like again, are quiet and sort of passive and let you enjoy sort of the piece. Some of them shock you or take you out of your sort of sense of place. You're shocked at what they do, but you're being implicated in the work. And that's sort of the intention with all the pedals around the room, having the courage to interact and me wanting you to interact and trying to bring you to it, give you the sense that you have the power to be involved with it and in the observations. So, I'm going to just read a quote really fast. So the minute we apply a glimmer of consciousness to a mechanical gesture or practice phenomenology while polishing a piece of old furniture, we sense new impressions come into being beneath this familiar domestic duty. So that's a quote from Bolshard. That's what he was saying in terms of those mechanical gestures, and so that's the grouping of that work. On the other hand, I have a grouping of work that I called transcendent departures. So talking about transcendentalism and sort of the idea of the body of work exploring the nature of the material and being sort of like all of these pieces and parts and things, as well as with these pieces as well, are found from different places, have different histories, and have come together in specific ways so that you as the viewer experience something completely different than each of those objects when they were what they were before. And so all of the pieces and all the parts come from different places. So everywhere from Rhode Island, there was a piece that's not in this show that I went and there's a road that goes down to the port in Rhode Island where they take all the recycling, so they ship it to China. And all these small pieces of iron would fall off of these trucks. So I went out there with a magnet and I literally swept the street and got buckets and buckets and buckets and buckets of these iron pieces. Took them to my studio, laid them out on the floor, and then started sorting them into sort of categories, not knowing really what the taxonomy of the category was, but just sort of organizing them. And then I made these pieces that were primarily just metal and magnets that would hang. So this materiality of like taking the found materials and giving them a new sense of value, so reevaluating sort of the sense of the material. So instead of being kinetic, these pieces fully rely on the viewer's ability to perceive the energy in the work, right? Perceive what's going on, perceive the ideas in the work. And my hope is that when you stand in front of the piece, you sort of feel that intentionality, whether the pieces are found pieces of wood from all over the place, or whether they're fabricated. So there's a couple of pieces that are cast bronze. There's a few splashes that look like splashes of metal. Those are cast iron that have been nickel plated. So all of these pieces have been found or picked up and treated in a specific way to sort of give the work value, right? And some of these pieces actually this is the first time that you've seen figurative things in my work. This is kind of the first time that I've worked that way. So in the one piece over here, there's the bust of myself hidden behind the material. These two pieces over here, the cast bronze figures, they're in reference to a friend of mine who passed away. He and I had a collaboration together, and that the object that it's based on was something that I found the piece, and he made out of wood. He just drilled holes and put these these construction flags in it, and I wanted to sort of memorialize that experience with him, and sort of give that sort of sensibility to it, as well as the metronome quality of the one piece that kind of gives that sort of ticking time. That's like, things are short, life is short. You kind of have to be in the moment. So that whole sort of transcendental movement is like, it is right to be in the now and to try to be focused and be where you are. And my work is focused on bringing you to that, either with the kinetic nature of the work or the sense of that this object has never been this way before, ever, and will never be that way again. So yes, and some of the titles are from poets. Walt Whitman, so, oh, Captain, my captain, that's where the flag has flung. That's where that came from. So I'm thinking about these how precious the moments are, and given that sensibility, and activating a space, being able to activate a space in two different ways that sort of, for a long, long time have been running parallel to each other and now are intersecting in an interesting way. I'm not sure where I'm at, but do people have questions or comments or?
I've had so much fun coming in and having it draw. I love the interactive quality, just stepping on pedals and then something happened. Even this one I loved, though it's slow. I'm like, hey, it's not working, and then,
Right.
oh, it is moving. When
Yeah.
you take the time.
Sure. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I see your Swiss origin.
Yes. Yes. The precision is you kind of have to like push what precision is. Because a lot of these things end up needing repairs or end up breaking or end up doing something different, or that's sort of the quality of the work being that way. And some of them I've been very fortunate that they've not broken. Some of these go back to the days from Portland State. So this piece, what's 2009, and this piece is 2008. So this is sort of, you're seeing a progression also of work in a way. As you walk through here, you're seeing sort of different thoughts being executed in different ways. That piece over there, I think even has like a piece of wood in it because I didn't know how to weld yet. So I was just screwing pieces of wood together and like praying that it would hold. So that sort of mad scientist sort of quality about it, there's some value in that. And things get a little bit more refined as I get a little bit more confident in doing different aspects and adding components, casting glass, casting iron, casting bronze. So there's a whole sort of, it's an interesting sort of, to see it all together in one space.
Yeah, I really love the found nature of some of your projects, and I wonder, I like the story too about how you the rovers and getting the magnets to you. Are you actively out looking for material? Does it find you? Can you talk a little bit about sort of how you come across something?
Sure. I mean, I spend a lot of time digging for things at different places, different thrift shops, going to different metal yards, and things strike me. Oftentimes, I'll collect. I'm sort of it borders on being a hoarder, I think, but I think I can qualify that because I actually do something with it, and it doesn't just sit in my studio in perpetuity. I'm fortunate enough to actually make things out of it, and I do get that aha moment where I'll have one object that sort of drives the entire project. And I'll build from that. And then it starts looking at the collection of things and going, I need something that does this or something that does that. Yeah, like the sprinkler, it was just on the side of the road. I don't know. And then I sort of thought about its kinetic nature and how I could sort of reverse engineer it to do something different, because typically the water goes in the back and the sprinkler moves this way, and I'm putting the power from the other side, and then creating this armature to make it draw. And, depends on how long it runs per day. Usually it's about a month. You can get away with about a month. It depends though, and it also is digging a groove into that piece of wood, which is why there's all this material that I've sort of, I polyurethaned all the material to this piece. All of that sort of speckled stuff is the material coming off of the wood. It's actually digging a groove into that. So it's permanently digging a groove into that drawing. Yeah.
I was wondering how long you've been doing art and if you ever try out different styles of art as well.
How long have I been doing art? So I've been doing art since, like in undergrad. I was a late bloomer when it came to graduating, so I didn't get my bachelor's till I was 31. But that being said, I've probably been doing art upwards of 15 to 20 years. And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
Do you ever try out different styles like painting or,
Different mediums.
yeah.
I typically don't do a whole lot of drawing in my practice. And I do have a series of drawings that is made, other drawings that are made by other machines as well. So I am interested in different aspects of like interaction. So it might be something that is kinetic as well as I might use paint, but I've never like done landscape painting. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
How do you feel about tape and wires? How does that impact your art and art exhibit?
Tape and wires. Well, I mean, it has to be there, so it has to be part of it has to be part of it, right? I mean, there's no way around it. It's kind of one of those things that is part of the piece. You have to do the best you can to make. I feel like there is a sort of rawness to it that I think it works for me. But it is sort of one of those things where when you, as a person that works with kinetic things, you have to sort of think about like, what are the wires going to do? They have to be part of the piece. You either have to try to hide them or you have to just put them out there for everyone to see. So does that answer the question? I think, yeah, that's my answer to that. Yeah. Okay, so that motor was, it's this sort of Chinese medicine thing where you lay down and it shakes your legs back and forth, and it's very strong. And I had a show in Spokane where I had to do, the prompt was drawn to the wall. So I made three machines that drew onto the wall. And I was like, how am I gonna get, I literally want to draw on the wall, but I want there to be an interactive aspect to it. So that's how I sort of came up with the sort of concept of making a drawing machine that does specifically that. And the motor is just sort of, that's like, I don't know, I get inspired by it. It's like, okay, that does the, I took the cover off of it to sort of make it raw and go, okay, I kind of see how it works, and now I kind of know what the kinetic capabilities of the object are. And so now I can kind of tailor that to make it sort of, and I wanted it to be more random. So that's why it's kind of not, it's kind of all over the place. And some pencils aren't quite touching, and some of them are barely making marks. I really get sort of a sense of, like, I like the contrast of mark making that object can make. Thank you for the question. Thank you so much.